Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. It's been a good month. It was my birthday, my mom's birthday, my sister's birthday. I moved back to Waco for another semester here at Baylor, and I watched some really good movies. So like half of this video is just like a tiny bit out of focus, but there's no way I'm going back and refilming it for like my, 30 viewers? I'm sorry, I love you guys, but it's just not worth it. So let's just dive on in. The first movie I watched this month was Spotlight. This was a very hard movie to watch, and it's great, don't get me wrong, with excellent camera work, pacing, acting, writing, cinematography. But as a Catholic, coming to terms with the extent of the damage that this scandal caused shook me to my core. I think, however, it is a very important movie. I am glad it exists. I think the importance of bringing this type of story to light is immensely important. For the church too, for the church especially. It marked a shift in the way that the church handled a scandal like this. How it went from hiding it and making the problem much worse to actually coming to terms with it, dealing with it head on, and doing whatever they can to fix it. I have a lot of respect for the reporters in this movie. The responsibility on their shoulders, the toll of finding the extent that the scandal went on to. It's not like they were very happy. In fact, some of them were even Catholic growing up. They knew the severity of what they were doing. They knew the scope and the amount of people that this story would affect. They did it anyways, knowing that it was very important for this to be known. Anyways, I do think it's a very important movie for everyone to watch, especially Catholics, regardless of how difficult it is to get through it. And if you think it's not accurate, or you feel like you don't want to trust whatever agenda the movie might have had, then by all means, do your own research, find out what happened. I'm not going to pretend I know the accuracy of every little thing, but rather, I'm just trying to convey what I thought of this movie. As a movie, like I said, it's close to flawless. I imagine that making a movie about journalism entertaining must be very hard, and they very much excelled at that. I mean, to make it flow without dragging is really impressive. For all of this, and for what it's actually dealing with, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5. I think it was a very powerful movie, and I'm very glad I watched it. Next up, I watched Jarhead. Jarhead is a very underrated movie. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this one. This has really become one of my favorite war movies. Jarhead is a character study and a psychological drama that explores what happens when a person trained only to kill doesn't get to. It's really impactful seeing the soldiers' blood loss throughout the movie, seeing how all they want is to see some action and get to actually shoot their guns at more than just a target. This movie also really takes advantage of the fact that when we, as the audience, are watching a war movie, we really want to see some action too. So the soldiers' blood loss, as unsettling as it is reflected back at us for yearning to watch some people get killed too. Like I said, it's a pretty unsettling movie, but I found it to be excellently directed by Sam Mendes, phenomenally acted by Jake Gyllenhaal. I cannot think of a single bad performance from him. He is truly talented and has been becoming one of my favorite actors working. I really think you should check this one out if you normally go for war movies. I know it's not new by any means. It's been out for a few years, so you might have already seen it, but if not, definitely recommend you do check it out. It probably won't be exactly what you're expecting, but it's very impactful. Also, I know I really need to watch Full Metal Jacket. 4 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Good Time. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I have mixed feelings about this movie. On one hand, there's a clear showcase of skill in the movie, in the production of the movie, from everyone. The Safdie brothers who directed, the editors, the set designers, the cinematographers, and of course, Robert Pattinson for carrying this movie. I mean, he gives a great performance of acting like a complete scumbag. Like, he has nothing going for him. No redeeming qualities, except maybe for the love he has for his brother. But he's honestly such a crappy guy. And Pattinson's performance is amazing. I can't wait to see him in the Batman. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing too. Having said all this, I always feel a little bit disappointed after watching one of these super stress-inducing type of movies. I felt a similar way after finishing Uncut Gems, also directed by the Safdie brothers. Like, I saw the talent in that film, but I didn't enjoy it. And I know you could say that you aren't really supposed to. After all, you're basically watching some guy's worst couple of days as he runs into every obstacle, he makes every mistake, and has the absolute worst luck. Like, I get it, I understand, but I can't bring myself to say that I liked this movie. The movie could have been longer. When I finished it, I was kind of wanting more. I couldn't believe it was already the end. I didn't really catch when the second act ended and the third act kind of started. There's not really a set movie structure. Part of the reason I think why I couldn't feel the third act starting was because the movie is just problem after problem after problem. I didn't really know what the end sequence was until I was watching it. And at the end of the day, I really wouldn't rewatch it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just not the type of movie for me. But I could also see why a lot of people would say it's a great movie. So 3 out of 5 stars for me. Then I watched Wimpy Kid. Does it hold up? Absolutely. Does it hold up as much as I thought it would? Maybe not. I honestly forgot that this is very much a kid's movie. I mean, it's a movie about a kid in middle school. I mean, not even high school. Like, that's a long time ago for me now. It was such a big part of my life when it came out that I kind of forgot that it happened so long ago. When I first watched it, I think I too was in middle school. So the movie being like a movie aimed at kids, it's got its share of, well, let's call it stupid stuff. And I'm not really sure what I mean by that, but the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. Now, let's start with the casting. It is beyond perfect. Like, everyone I'm not gonna go through and point out each character because literally every single person that was cast in this movie is perfect for their roles. The mom, the dad, Manny, like how do you cast a perfect 2-year-old? Rowley was awesome. Rodrick, oh my god, perfect casting. And most of all, Greg. He is perfect. What a douchebag. I love him. The comedy lands maybe 85% of the time. And at the end of the day, it has a very heartfelt message. I could say more about this movie, but I have to get on to the next review, which is Rodrick Rules. I love this movie. I love the dynamic between the brothers. I think it's even more heartfelt than the first one, this time focusing on Greg's relationship with Rodrick rather than with his best friend Rowley. And every actor shines in their role even more this time around. And I think the comedy also lands a little bit better. I give the first one a 3.5 stars and the second one a 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, first of all, I need a motorcycle. And maybe I also need to learn how to fly a jet. It's just fun to see young Tom Cruise from like a million years ago have the same amount of energy that he always brings to his roles. This movie was great. I loved it. I can see why it's such a classic with great visuals, super fun characters, and also it just oozes the 80s. After that, I moved up to Waco, and I think it was either our first or second night here with my roommates. We wanted to watch a movie and we decided on Mad Max Fury Road. And honestly, I did not know that the color orange could look so gorgeous. The color palette with the saturated, contrasted orange and the blue did wonders to the cinematography. I could not take my eyes away from the screen for 1 second out of fear of missing what at any point could be the most beautiful shot I would have ever seen. This is how you do an action movie. This was amazing. The mix between practical effects and CGI was flawless. This is how you should handle CGI, to enhance rather than to just substitute. The choreography between the stunt team was insane. The amount of practice and dedication that it must have taken to make this movie is just not seen in a regular movie. And the movie just jumps right in from the first second. It doesn't let up at all. The plot, as simple as it may have been, carried with it a lot to say about humanity, as Max, one of the main characters, does his best to survive while retaining his humanity amongst oppression. The other main character, Furiosa, was such a badass, amazing character with very clear motivations that makes her really easy to root for. The visual storytelling is top notch. I heard that the director made this movie so that you could watch it muted and still understand everything that's going on, and I could definitely see how that's true. There's very little dialogue. Of course, it is enhanced a lot by the score, which is like super strong. But you don't really need the dialogue. It's just so much amazing visual storytelling. I definitely recommend you guys check it out if you like action movies. This is an easy 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know where to start with this movie. It's heartwarming and nerve-wracking and cringy all at the same time. You love the main character and you want to see her get out of her shell, but at the same time, you're so scared for her that you don't want her to do anything. The movie is such a roller coaster, tied very nicely by a very strong performance, probably the best performance I've seen by a young actress, maybe ever. Bo Burnham's direction is great, but it is his writing that I think really stands out. It feels super special and so real. The movie was spectacular and making you feel what the character feels. It definitely deserves a watch if you haven't already, and I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. There will be blood. Very slow burn, very slow. That suddenly and at any point can go up to 100. It is a beautifully shot movie. Every frame is purposeful and beautiful. This movie was helped wonderfully by an insane performance by Daniel Day-Lewis. I've never seen him in a movie, and he completely embodies this deteriorating person obsessed with wealth until he completely loses his mind. I had a great time with this movie. I was completely hooked, even with the slow pacing at times. 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like I have a lot to say about this movie, mainly because I don't know how to feel about it. I'm definitely not indifferent towards it. I like it, but I'm also very frustrated by it. For one, it gave me something I didn't know I needed, seeing Nick Miller interact with April Ludgate, at least at the beginning of the movie. As it goes on, the characters do start to develop more, and they become their own fleshed out characters, not just the characters that you would get from New Girl and Parks and Rec. So there you go, that's a positive. The actors also do a great job, and it's nice to see them on screen, especially Aubrey Plaza, who plays Darius, the main character. She did a great job, and honestly, I would love to see her in more movies. Now, there is a possibility that that's as far as the positives go. The actual plot and the structure of the movie, I did not like nearly as much. The movie is about a team of reporters who, after seeing an ad about someone who wants to go back in time and is looking for a partner, go undercover and try to find out more about the guy. And it's not that the concept is bad, actually that seems like a really fun idea, but the movie seems unsure of what type of movie it wants to be. First, it feels like a road trip movie with the clashing personalities between the reporters, then a romantic movie on 2 different plots, one between Jake Johnson's character and his old girlfriend, and another one between Aubrey's character and the time-traveling guy. And the 2 plot points don't really have much to do with each other, apart from having a similar theme of wanting to go back to the past, to the way things were, but ultimately finding that you need to move forward. Apart from that, you really aren't sure why both storylines needed to be there. Also, the whole time you aren't sure if you're watching a science fiction movie because you don't know if they can actually go back in time. You don't know how seriously it's taking itself. This all comes together to make the relatively short movie feel disconnected and like a bit of an oddball. And as much as I think the theme of this movie is interesting, the ending ruins it and leaves me really wanting more. Interesting premise, good acting, but unfortunately I don't think it really sticks to landing. 3 out of 5 stars. Bradley Cooper is such a good actor. He is very different from what I was expecting going into the movie. So is Jennifer Lawrence, by the way. Both of them are honestly the highlight of the movie. The story is awesome, super entertaining, with a good theme of marching forward through life, and it also has a great representation of a bipolar disorder. Having said that, as good as the story and the themes are, it is definitely the characters and the acting that take this movie to the next level. I love them, especially Bradley Cooper's character. You are so worried about him, never knowing what he's gonna do or say. This movie is also pretty funny, much funnier than I thought it would be. And even though it's a romantic movie, it doesn't really feel like it. It's got a very unique feel, style, and theme. It makes you think and relate to these characters who are definitely crazy, and it kind of makes you realize, oh crap, maybe I'm a little bit crazy too. Oh, and also, by the way, Robert De Niro's in it. Then a few nights ago, I watched 2 movies back to back, which I never do that, but I had some friends over and we couldn't decide whether to watch Airplane or Napoleon Dynamite, so we just did the reasonable thing and watched both. Let's start with Airplane, maybe the most self-aware movie I have ever watched. It knows what it is, never takes itself too seriously, and it is one of the funniest movies because of that. The jokes and the characters are hilarious, and the movie just feels like you're watching one big comedy special with punchline after punchline and joke after joke. I absolutely loved it, and I can't really rate it, but I'm gonna say that it's a classic and everyone should definitely see it, especially if you like good comedy. Then there's Napoleon Dynamite. I love it. It's a classic. Go watch it. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, the performances and the acting are amazing. I think that's really what elevates this movie. It's really what makes the movie funny, or at least it's what gives it the special and unique feel you get when watching it. And yeah, I honestly, I don't really know what else to say about Napoleon Dynamite except that you should probably watch it. It's definitely a classic. And yeah, guys, that's all I watched this month. I am gonna go see Tenet Monday afternoon, so look forward to that review either Monday night or Tuesday, sometime probably in the morning. I haven't been to a theater in about 6 months, and Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors, so I'm really excited to watch this movie. As always, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to watch my recent videos, and as always, drop a like and vote for Pedro.